On September 14th, 2015, 19,000 pages of secret documents were declassified by the American Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. These documents were daily brief reports on many events during the Cold War, and among the most important of these events was the missile crisis. The Kuban, which was the crisis during which the world lived its worst 2 weeks due to the fear of nuclear war. The summary of this crisis is that the Soviet Union attempted to protect Cuba from an American invasion by deploying nuclear missile bases on its territory close to America and Hapan Masara. And after 2 weeks during which the world was on edge, the crisis ended with the removal of Soviet missiles from Cuba in exchange for the American pledge not to invade, as well as the removal of American missiles from Turkey close to the Union, or the Soviet. And from these documents, we learned that one of the main factors leading to the quick resolution of the crisis was the recognition by both parties of the insignificance of the Cuban and Turkish missile platforms. Also, because both sides possessed a formidable weapon, which is nuclear submarines. During the Cold War, the CIA was afraid of a surprise attack by the Red Army with weapons, nuclear. But of course, intercontinental ballistic missile technology was still in its infancy, and neither country had missiles with a range that allowed them to threaten the other country directly. And because of that, the idea of establishing missile bases in countries close to borders was always on the table, but it wasn't always very practical. This became clear with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Therefore, the American intelligence tried to think of an alternative that would allow the American military to have the capability for nuclear threat, which is also. And at the same time, this alternative should not be apparent or announced, so America doesn't seem like it wants war or anything like that, especially since it was promoting itself as the protector of peace and democracy in the world. And upon thinking, they found that they had 3 ways to achieve this goal. The first way is, space is beyond the range of radars and surveillance systems, and we can maneuver as we wish. However, this method was dismissed at the time due to its very high costs and advanced technology requirements. As for the second and third methods, they were immediately initiated to be ready. The first was an attempt to develop intercontinental missile technology so that the missile launch base would be on American soil, while at the same time being able to reach the Soviet Union. The third method, which achieved unprecedented success and surpassed all other methods in technology, and was also the least costly, is submarines. While considering an unconventional method for nuclear deterrence, the idea was proposed: the submarine. The submarine is distinguished by its stealth and is not detected by radar, nor seen with the naked eye. It is not restricted by territorial waters because it is essentially hidden underwater. But the problem at that time was that all submarines were powered by diesel engines, and this type of engine always requires to air. And for this reason, the submarine had to periodically surface to replenish the air that its engine needed to operate. This exposed the submarine to detection by enemy ships or aircraft. Besides that, this type needed to return to ports to charge batteries and refuel. Therefore, submarines could not continue in the oceans for more than a few days, and all its missions were summarized in attacking an enemy ship, for example, using torpedoes, meaning all of its missions were purely defensive. In addition, it was sometimes used for scientific research purposes, and for that reason, there were desperate attempts to find a way to make these submarines cover longer distances and stay longer in the water away from sight. This led scientists and engineers to focus on developing a new engine that operates on nuclear power. Indeed, the first nuclear engine emerged in 1952, and it was installed in the USS Nautilus, which entered service in 1954, becoming the first nuclear submarine in the world. This nuclear engine, apart from the large energy it provided that made the submarine faster and capable of carrying more, its most important feature was the continuity. The nuclear-powered submarine does not need refueling throughout its entire service life, or it might need recharging once every 25 years. In short, it can go anywhere no matter how far, and you don't have to worry about surfacing and returning, or to ports. With equipping this type of submarines with nuclear weapons, the importance of establishing a nuclear base in bordering countries would completely diminish. The USS Nautilus was a real revolution in the world of submarines. It broke all records in terms of size, duration underwater, and distances it could travel. It was the first submarine to travel under the ice cap of the Arctic Ocean. One of the strange ironies about the development of the nuclear engine for American submarines is that the whole project was supervised by a Navy admiral named Hyman Rickover, who was originally a Russian engineer but was Stalin. After the submarine USS Nautilus, more modern and larger models appeared as well. The Soviet Union also managed to enter the race in the late 1950s and even excelled in it. Besides the Soviet Union and America, 4 countries were able to possess nuclear submarines publicly, and they are Britain, France, and China. India. The modern models of nuclear submarines, such as the American Ohio and the Russian Typhoon, can carry up to 24 ballistic missiles. Each missile is capable of carrying nuclear warheads. As for the size of these new submarines, their length exceeds 170 meters. The large size is due to the nuclear submarine needing to house a complete nuclear reactor inside it, in addition to oxygen generators, filtration stations, and water desalination and all that. The submarine actually doesn't need anything from the outside world, except for food supplies and, of course, the crew's comfort. And change it. The nuclear submarine can stay at depths for a period ranging from 2 to 3 consecutive months. After this period, it returns to the port to change the crew and replenish food supplies. Each submarine has 2 crews, a blue crew and a gold crew, who alternate between land missions. And the Navy. Despite the submarine's large size, submarines typically suffer from cramped sleeping and recreational spaces because it is ultimately a military submarine, and all the large spaces are used for equipment and weapons. During the crew's time on the submarine, each sailor is given an email address specific to the submarine system to communicate with their family via satellites. One industrial. But still, the submarine does not always have the ability to send and receive. This requires being at shallow depths not exceeding 20 meters. Only when the submarine is at depths ranging around 200 meters, on 800 meters, and this makes communication very limited. Despite the great length of submarines, their width does not exceed 10 meters. This is because the distinctive cylindrical design of submarines reduces water resistance and provides smooth movement underwater. Additionally, it reduces pressure on the outer hull. All nuclear submarines have a sealed message containing 4 options from which the head of state chooses a specific directive. For the submarine, the message is kept in a special safe that is only opened in the case of extreme emergencies, and these extreme emergencies are the country being under nuclear attack or the disappearance of the state from the map. The 4 choices are: first, the submarine does nothing. The second choice is placing the submarine crew under the command of the Allies. The third choice is for the ship's commander to decide what to do. As for the fourth choice, the submarine responds with full force. Theoretically, this means that a certain country could completely erase another country from the map, including all its cities, factories, weapons, and army, and all that would remain of that country is a nuclear submarine capable of retaliating with nuclear weapons. As for the mechanism of submarines, the idea, quite simply, relies on the presence of valves that fill with water or with air. If the submarine needs to go down, the valves are filled with water. If the submarine needs to go up, the water is drained, and these valves are filled or with air. The fins of the submarine help in directing it right or left. As for navigation, it is done through a special system called the inertial navigation system. Because the submarine cannot rely on GPS or radar systems or any ground information, it uses a special technique based on a set of computers connected to sensors and rotation. By calculating changes in speed and direction, this information is analyzed to determine the way. Of course, submarines have emergency alternatives, including the captain's own expertise or visual observation of the surface through the periscope.